All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Sven, co-founder and CEO at Sastrify, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we help companies buy and manage their software stack. Why is this part of the whole fintech part? Well, obviously, because if you buy something, you also have to pay for it. So there's also a little angle in there on how we help companies actually pay for their software. So let's dive right in. I think all of us here are aware it's not the most beautiful times in the economy overall in many, many countries. And obviously, that current economic environment forces many of us, but also actually not only startups, scale-ups, but also basically every company out there to really focus on bottom line and think about efficiency and how to improve efficiency. So software actually represents a massive opportunity here. We see more than 150 tools, different software tools per company that we work with. More than 30,000 software companies out there offering their different platforms. And according to Gartner, that's summing up somewhere to $1.6 trillion spent. Right? So it's actually quite big dollars that go into software. Obviously, many of those softwares are awesome and create a lot of ROI for the companies, but at the same time, it's also really important to manage it, right? So as the spend is growing, and you'll see that on the next slide, for an average 1,000 people company, you're looking at way north of $5 million of annual spend. And the interesting piece here is obviously that changed quite a bit over the last couple of years, right? So 5-10 years ago, it was IT buying software. It was all very centralized. One team buying the whole stuff for the company, managing your Microsoft licenses, maybe your Salesforce, stuff like that. Today, everybody in the company is buying software. Everybody is their own little procurement master. Marketing buys their tools. HR buys their tools. So it's all like a way more distributed setup in basically every company out there. And that leads to a couple of very interesting problems that seem easy at first to understand, but very hard to solve. Well, there's obviously overlapping tools. There's tools that somebody bought, never looked at it again. As long as they keep their budget, they just want to keep it, even though if they don't use it. Most software tools that you buy auto-renew at some point. We know that from our private lives, but also in large companies. Obviously, those auto-renewals, if they're not handled properly, lead to huge price increases and make it really difficult for companies to manage. And last but not least, the average software company is probably changing their pricing model at least once every 2 years, more often once every year, right? So it's different names, different ways of how you're getting billed, different value sets in there. So it's really interesting and really cumbersome for any procurement, finance, IT professional out there to understand how do I actually negotiate with this. If it's about, think about AI, right? How do I negotiate something which might be 20% as expensive 3 weeks later? How do I actually go about this? It's way more about thinking strategically. But all of that leads to some quite significant cost impact. So if you think about those 5 million, more than 600K are pretty much wasted. If you extrapolate that, take a 5,000 people company, that gets it to like 2.5 million a year that is just lying there getting spent and basically don't create any return for the company. It's just wasted money. And as you know, any dollar you can save here directly impacts the bottom line. So we work with a lot of companies that are really focused on profitability, on making this a successful path for them. So what do we actually do? Why did we start a company? Max, my co-founder, and myself, we've known each other for about 15 years. And we started Sastrify after we exited our previous company back in 2020. So it's about, 4 years now. And what we built is really a single modular platform that helps companies manage everything they do around their software purchases. So as you can tell by the previous slide, it really all starts with visibility, transparency. We plug in Sastrify into their ERP, into their single sign-on providers, and within minutes, we give them a full overview. Those are all the different software products in your company, and we obviously do that on an ongoing basis. So it's quite interesting, not only from a cost perspective, but obviously also from a compliance perspective. So I'm not sure how many of you, for example, are familiar with DORA, the whole financial regulations about digital resilience. very interesting to see like how much companies actually don't know about what tools are being used. Again, taking the AI example, basically everybody is signing up to a different tool, trying something out, and you just don't know about it. That's exactly the first part that we solve. So really talking about shadow ID, making sure finance, procurement, IT, they have full visibility on everything that's within the company. The second part then is around how to actually work with that. How do I build approval processes that are not circumvented by people all the time, but it makes it actually easy for them. Think about travel booking. You want people to make their own decisions. You don't want to tell them, go in this hotel. You want to tell them, okay, book what's best for you, but please do it within company policies. That's exactly what we do with software. So they basically think about what's the best software for me as a marketing leader, but then through Sastrify, I can actually buy it in a compliant way directly through the platform. Last but not least, we provide a ton of insights. By now, there's more than $2 billion in spend on Sastrify, so we can give you a lot of insights about what to buy, what to pay for it, how to negotiate it. And then last but not least, obviously, the last piece of this is how do I then optimize? I know what I have the processes in place. How can I really bring down my OpEx and really think strategically around how I manage my cost base, which, given that software is such a big line item already, is obviously a really, really important topic for most companies out there. Obviously, saving money for people was quite en vogue, I would say, for the last 2 or 3 years. So what sets us apart? What do we do differently? Well, first of all, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think what really sets us apart is we think about what the customer needs, and then we build a platform that's both holistic, so solving a lot of problems for them, but at the same time very modular. So we have customers that have their own procurement team, run on that procurement team. We just provide the insights and the data and the platform. We also have customers that, for example, don't have a procurement team, so they need a different way of how they're being treated. They need different insights from us, and they need different modules from the platform. The second part comes back to the data piece, right? So any software contract, any invoice even from our customers or other companies that we work with lands in the platform. And in our backend, what we do is basically analyze all those invoices and give great recommendations directly to our customers. That's about price, the easy one. So you shouldn't pay more than X euros for that Salesforce license, but also other things like usage analytics, so understanding, hey, out of your 1,000 licenses, only 800 were used the last month, so you can also dig in deeper there and create some great value from that. Last but not least, on the right side here, we have what is really a cool model for us and our customers. We were able to basically generate a lot of exclusive pricing deals with existing vendors. So think the Googles of this world, the Microsofts, but also 1Password, Miro, everything that's flying around, and you can buy it directly via the Sastrify marketplace. So coming back to what I said at the beginning about Sastrify also being in the payment space, in the end, basically customers can also pay those providers directly via us, which gives us a lot of flexibility and also a lot of business development topics around financing that piece of software and really building a cool model around getting all your software from that one single place, which should be Sastrify. Last but not least, as I also mentioned earlier, we build a professional service unit on our end to really support in large transactions. So think the $5 to $10 million Salesforce contracts, and also handle long tail management. So if you're like a 2-person procurement team and you need somebody with expertise to just get stuff done, we also provide that because we saw much better adoption if we have that and can also supply this to customers. Again, in a very modular fashion. Sastrify itself is always the base for that. The cool part about this is there's also a lot of our customers here today. So we support a lot of the, I'd say, 500 plus FTE companies out there. Obviously, ranging from, let's say, scale-ups to more traditional enterprises. And we were quite fortunate to serve already more than 250 of those and save them a double-digit million amount of dollars every year. So far, we've actually really seen that it's not only about time saving, but it's also about risk and about not only about cost saving, but also about risk and time saved. And that's what really makes the difference for us. Speaking about time, it's right on the minute. If I can be any helpful, please drop me a note, Sven@sastrify.com. Thank you so much.